If you give me 10 minutes, I'll show you how to increase your forehand power by 20 kilometers an hour or even more. I've helped literally hundreds of tennis players online and in person do this, spanning every single level of tennis. So I'm going to be helping you today too. I'll be giving you a 5-point checklist so that you're hitting 100 kilometer per hour forehands without losing spin. Because most players can do it, they just don't know how. And you're going to learn in this video. So step 1 to increasing our power on our forehand is to make sure we are moving through the shot. What does that mean? A lot of players don't understand how to use their weight as they hit their forehand. So for example, when they're hitting their shot, they often don't have the correct stance, or they're not moving their body and their torso correctly. And so they end up either being in this neutral position here and just swinging through like this, trying to get extra power, or even worse, they're moving backwards as they hit the ball. So they're doing one of these, going backwards. This is a forehand pace killer. You will have no speed on your forehands, especially if you're doing the one where you go backwards. Instead, when we're hitting our forehand, it's really important that we are moving through the ball. So we're going to be stepping through with this right foot as we contact, right through like so. That's really important because as we hit the ball, we don't want to just be using our arm. We want to be using our entire body and all of its weight as we swing through the ball to be able to get extra pace. And a lot of people, when they try to improve their forehand pace, their speed, they're trying to up the speed, they just keep muscling it with their arm and they get to here and just keep swinging through with the arm and then they hurt themselves. So it's super important that you're using your entire body through the forehand by using your weight instead of just using your arm all the time. Now that's all fine and well, but if the contact point isn't where it needs to be, then we're not going to have the room to be able to transfer our weight. So the next step, step number 2, is to make sure we are contacting the ball out in front of ourselves. This by itself can be a massive unlock for your power and your pace in your forehand, and it's super easy to do. All you need to think about is hitting the ball in front of you as you're hitting your forehand instead of out to the side. So a lot of players, they let the ball get too close to them and they're trying to hit the ball out here, all right? Now, when the ball is back here, you're limiting how much you're able to move through with your hip and your shoulder because you can only move this much before you're actually contacting the ball. Compare that to if the ball is out in front of you. You're able to swing right through. You get turn in both the hip and the shoulder, and your arm is also able to extend fully. And once it extends fully, all the force from your legs to your hip, to your trunk, to your shoulder, to your arm, it's able to relay really well. And so you're able to really give it a smack out in front. So if you want to be transferring your weight, it's super important that the ball contact is in front of you as you hit your forehand. That is going to unlock your pace by 10, 20, even 30 kilometers, just that one change. Now, if you're struggling with anything to do with the forehand, you can get free feedback from me if you just click the link in the description. It's a Skool community with a bunch of like-minded tennis players looking to improve. So go check that out. We've got hours upon hours of free course content in there too. So get in, join the community, and get improving on your tennis fast. But here's the thing, you're not going to be unlocking the most amount of power if you're not able to position yourself to get that ball contact out in front, which is why your footwork positioning and your stances are so important. When we're hitting our forehand, it is paramount. It is important that you are getting in the correct stance for the forehand that you're hitting. So let's say that you're hitting a normal rally ball, a normal, very easy, very plain forehand. In that position there, we want to be in the semi-open stance. So the semi-open stance has our left foot in front and the right foot across. A big mistake is that people put their left foot further across from their right foot. This is a big no-no. This is going to cut off the amount of transfer you're able to get through that forehand and severely limit your power as well as your control. So very important that instead you have that semi-open stance in the normal rally shots. Now let's say that we have a wide ball, a super wide ball, you're running to get it, we're going out here. That's when we use the open stance. So now my feet are going to be parallel as I hit the ball. When I'm out wide, this is a much easier position to get into when you're running or trying to grab this defensive ball, right? And then as you swing through, you get to recover back into the middle of the court because of how your footwork is positioned. But it's super important that you're using that out wide stance when you're on defense, when you're getting pulled off the court. Now, step number 4 is making sure you have the correct spin on your forehand. And before you skip this section, because you've heard it 100 times and you've thought about it 100 times, what I want you to think about is your inside out forehands and your down the line forehands, because most people, when learning them for the first time, really getting comfortable with them, they mess this up. So when it comes to the cross court forehand, topspin is really easy because you're already getting the low to high and you're also getting around the ball. So if you see it from this angle here, we're still able to very easily get around the ball, because if I want to go cross court or to my left, I'm getting around the ball and I'm getting that topspin for free, essentially. But when we're going down the line, if I want to shoot the ball in this direction over here, right in front of me, now I will tend to go further back behind the ball at this 6 o'clock contact. Now, if you've seen any pro player play in slow motion or anything like that, then you'll know that as soon as they hit 6 o'clock, the spin goes down by so much. There's so much less spin when you hit right behind the ball instead of around it, because you're not able to get the curl that you do when you're getting around it. If I'm trying to hit at this 6 o'clock, it'll just bounce straight off like a trampoline. So when we're hitting down the line, it's super important that we're moving around the ball enough so that when we contact, we're getting the brush on the side and from low to high, and we're getting that contact to be able to put it down the line with spin. The same can be said for the inside out forehand. So when someone tries to run around the forehand and get it inside out, often they don't go around enough and they get this 6 o'clock contact, and it will go towards the middle of the court or fly long. So on the inside out forehand, we're going to be moving from this way. So our wrist will open up, and so we're getting the 7 o'clock contact because we're going into the other side of the court. Instead of the cross court, we're going inside out, down the line. So we're going to be at the 7 o'clock angle on the ball, the same way that you do on your backhand. So it's really important that you're getting the correct contact and spin on those shots that aren't cross court, so that you're able to up the power and be able to get those fast, powerful shots into the court instead of letting them fly out all the time. And the last step is using one of these 2 pro techniques to be able to hit a monster forehand. We have 2 schools of thought here in the pro scene today. We have the Sinner forehand or the Carlos Alcaraz forehand. Now, the difference between the 2 is that the Carlos forehand, he has his arm fully extended as he contacts. This means that his lever is as long as possible, which allows him to get extra effort or extra pace onto the ball when he actually contacts. Sinner, however, has a bent arm as he swings through the forehand. And what this does is it means that he has to let his arm act more like a whip on contact. So he's snapping his wrist more and he's getting a lot of extra force through the kinetic chain. And he's sort of getting a bit of flick to be able to really impart a ton of pace. Now, both of these guys have mega forehands. Their forehands are insanely powerful. But you want to be making sure that you are doing either or, not a bit of both. So a lot of players, what they is they try to do, for example, the Carlos outstretched arm, but then flick with the wrist like Sinner. This doesn't really work, because when you're all the way out here with your arm, getting this flick at the end automatically bends the arm, and so it's not going to allow you to get the proper contact. Now, so whichever one that you're doing, whether it's the full length arm like so, or the bent arm like Yannick, it's super important that you stick to that technique. Don't try to do half and half, because it's just going to mess up your forehand. Now, bonus tip for the end here. A super important part of increasing your forehand power is to have the confidence to do so. If you need help with your confidence on the court and knowing what to do when, then check out this video here. It's all about tennis strategy and where you should be hitting and when. And I'll see you in the next video.